Hello, everybody. It's Friday. That means it's time for another topic of the week. So, last week's topic, which was about the Games Workshop Age of Sigmar FAQ, many good responses. I mean, to sum them up quickly, everybody's pretty happy about it. Obviously, that got sort of hijacked by the discussion. There even bigger announcement, which came later. But I think the FAQ is overall pretty positively looked upon, even though people don't agree, and I don't agree with all the decisions that were made. I think it's still a good thing they put it out there and they opened it up for discussion and before it even was finalized and all of that sort of thing. So that's all great stuff. I'll spruik my own video here. I had several members of the community. We discussed it in depth, and you can see that on my channel if you haven't watched it yet. We really dive deep on everything, but there was lots of good responses. But this week, we're not going to turn to the subject of points and stuff like that because there's already been a lot of hay made about that. And the fact is that the book is still months away, and we'll talk about it more then when it happens. However, tomorrow, as I'm recording this, the 30th of April, there is something very big happening, and that is the launch of version 1.0 of the Ninth Age. And that's what I want to talk about this week for this week's topic. This week's topic of the week, and what I'd love to see some video responses about and thoughts about, are your thoughts on the Ninth Age. Specifically, what do you think of the project so far, how it's been conducted? Have you looked at it? Have you looked at, maybe an army that you played previously in editions of Warhammer? Have you looked at sort of the version of it that's in Ninth Age? Are you happy about it? Do you have, do you like how things translated over? Do you feel it's balanced? That sort of thing. And then as well, what do you think the challenges are and the sort of the strengths of Ninth Age are? And that's kind of what I'll deep dive on for this. So when I look at the project, as I've said many times in the show and truly believe, I'm very supportive of it, and I hope that this is very successful. And I think they've got a lot of strengths going for them. Namely that they're square in the tradition of the previous editions of Warhammer and what was there. And there's a familiarity to that. And tradition means a lot in games. Like a lot. Sometimes, even when things are bad in games, and I'm not saying that anything about this is, but an easy example is, say, D&D, where when they got rid of things that were perhaps bad, or whatever you want to say, not the best written rules, people actually didn't like it as much. Whereas here, the overall feel of this still hews pretty close to your previous experiences. So it's not a giant, shift. There's no big paradigm shift in it. So I think that's a big strength of it. I honestly think another strength, and I can't say this enough, is the overwhelming and unbelievable dedication and passion of everybody at all levels who've worked on the project. From the Army book committees to the rules team and the executive board and the people doing art and everything. And I've had a good occasion to talk to some of them throughout it. And they have a just unbelievable amount of enthusiasm for what they're doing. And I don't know that there's actually, as someone who's made several games, here's what I'll say. Probably the most important thing you can have in a project and in your project team is enthusiasm. People who aren't into it don't make good stuff. Everybody here is really into it. And from what I've seen and watching it so far, they're making good stuff. Okay? And I think that overall they have a good concept of what they're aiming at. They're aiming at, a very tightly balanced tournament system. And I think that's what they will achieve. I think they will. I think they have been very successful at both. Throughout their rules cycle of gathering feedback, using hard data to make decisions, while also using their own intuition, and then mix of the community. So I think all in all, their process has been very strong. And I think that when you put all that together, what you're going to get is something that's really a very strong game. Now, that doesn't mean it's not without challenges, and I think they're aware of them. I read a blog post today on the Ninth Age that was talking about, answering some of the common challenges, and I think they are there, and I don't know that they're all exactly answered, but I know that they're certainly aware of them and working to them. One of them that I thought did have a good answer was they talked about sort of the barrier of entry, because it's still there. The armies are really big. You're getting it's a significant layout of investment in mental capacity to learn a lot of rules if you're a new player to the game, and to then go out and spend the monetary, cost to go out and buy all the models and paint them and put in the time. So it really banks on all cylinders as far as barrier of entry goes. And I think they're deeply aware of that. And the word is that they're working on getting, more entry into friendly local game stores, and putting out a smaller, simpler version of the game with, the work functions at a lower points cost to lower the amount of figs you need, to lower the cost, to lower the barrier of entry. That's good stuff. I want to see that as soon as possible, because to me, that's absolutely critical to long-term viability, because people will leave the game. That's just reality, okay? It's not, the game could be the best game in the world. People will stop playing it. Nothing is so good, people do it forever. That's just the nature of games. They turn over. So their attrition's always a thing, and every game company has to fight with this. And so reinvention is necessary, advancement is necessary, and new blood is necessary, right? And so I think having a good on-ramp is really one of the most important features for long-term viability. I think that also another challenge, and one I think, again, they're keenly aware of, and I hope to see more things address, is simply the nature of hearing about it, right? And then once you hear about it, knowing what to do. It's easy for us who have been in this and have been involved and who have our sort of finger on the pulse, which I'm not saying I'm one of those people. That's just it. I know enough to know what I need to do, but there are lots of people who might not, who hear about it and then don't know what's next. One of the great strengths, to tangent for a moment, of Games Workshop is that they have horizontally integrated the entire process. You can get your models, the clippers to cut them, the files to sand them, the glue to glue them. I might have said that, I don't know. The paint to paint them, the bases to base them, the flock to put on the base. Everything. Everything. They sell all of it, and it's usually all together in the game store. That's not just because they want to make more money. That's because it is, partially, of course. But it's also an extremely powerful tool, because without that, if you go get into, you're somebody and you just want to get into historicals, maybe you got to search miniature lines, you got to figure out where to go in your store. You've got to have someone else really guide you through navigating different vendors or this or that or games or where do you go for what products. Games Workshop realized that and said, here's everything. We got it all. You walk down the row, you go this, this, this. Right? And Ninth Age being a more pure community project about the game means that, yes, that like as they mentioned in the blog post, they don't have to be beholden to selling models, which is a strength. But there's also a dark side to it, in that they do have to send you to lots of other people to get your stuff. And so you have to go to here and this site and this site. And so I think a very critical path to their success will be the centralization of information, of everything, of people that are carrying their miniatures, where you can go, and those companies then responding in kind and forming a sort of virtuous circle to get the miniatures, the paints, the glue, the this, the that, to literally pull it all together. And then at the same time, of course, as members of the community, it's good to proselytize, to help people, to bring other people into it. I was reading over a 40K, sort of fan survey today, and one of the interesting things that caught my attention out of it, and this, that survey is very tilted into how the data was collected, but still, one of the interesting things to me was 50% of the people who responded had been brought into the game by another person. Okay, they learned how to play, learned about the game from another person. That right there, to me, says that as a community, the most important thing that everyone can do if you want Ninth Age to be successful is talk about it, is share your passion, your advice, your tips, your directions with other people. Because in the end, people are going to need that to get over the hump and get into it. And doing it all on their own requires a level of effort that not everybody's going to be willing to express. So this is kind of my version of that. I'm trying to get the word out there and hopefully inspire others to do some more videos, to talk about it, to talk about why you love it, so that this is now out here, and people who search for it and look for it can then get put onto other videos and other people talking about it and channels talking about it and stuff like that. So there you go. That's my thoughts on the Ninth Age very quickly. I've got a lot more, but I don't want to get into deep on it. I might do a video at some point in time after 1.0 comes out. I know there's going to be a lot of people reviewing army books, that's for sure, and I'm looking forward to those deep dives. So, thoughts on the Ninth Age? What do you think? Have you looked at it? Did you look at your army yet? Are you excited to see it coming out? By the time you probably want to record a response, the book will be out, since it comes out. All the books drop tomorrow. So go take a look at that. Remember, April 30th. I'll put the link for the Ninth Age down below, of course. But, I mean, if you just Google the Ninth Age, you'll find it. And I look forward to your responses on what you think are strengths, weaknesses, or challenges, I guess. Give me your SWOT analysis. That's right. Of it in a video form, or just down below in the comments. Looking forward to all the responses. Don't forget, we're doing a whole show this week coming up that is on the 4th. On Warhammer Weekly. So tune in. We're going to have a couple members of the rules team there. It's going to be totally awesome. We're going to do top to bottom coverage of the Ninth Age. So looking forward to that very much. As always, we'll see you next time.